So let's just start off with the basics then. I've been a Christian pretty much all my life. I had one amazing pastor in church, which was Mennonite when I was a kid. Baptized, that whole thing. Actually, Mennonites don't do baptisms, but they do a mock thing that's like a baptism. And so yeah, my spiritual roots come from Christianity, but I have studied quite a few other religions along the way. I've worked with a lot of Jewish people, worked in Jewish schools, worked in Christian schools. I've read large parts of the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran. I have recently started reading about ancient histories and cultures. But needless to say, my last round, attending church regularly, upset me. I did not like, even in a church that said that, I remember I was hooked on the church when they said, we're not going to, the pastor in the middle of the sermon said, we're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. That's what we're here. We're here to learn. We're here to discover the truth. I did everything. I was a volunteer. I led the parking team, worked in security for the church. I brought a bunch of people into the church. And the person who brought me into the church, who invited me to church on a Sunday, we actually worked together as teachers at school. We both got fired at the same time because, of course, we're straight white males. And it's a whole lot cheaper to hire assistant subs midway through the year. Fire off all your straight white dudes. They'll hire you just to fill a warm body. But anyway, so this man and I connected, and he got me to come to church. I was looking for a church. It was great. Spent a year there, put a lot of time and effort into it, and my wife got pregnant. We had our second child, and the church just totally abandoned me. They just didn't give a shit about me anymore. I put in hundreds of hours for them, gave them money, tithed as much as I could. Cash in my wallet every week. I even sponsored one of the members of leadership, giving him like $100 a month. I don't make a lot of money. I'm largely a stay-at-home dad, and I take that money out of my own that I earn. So, needless to say, I was quite upset. They excommunicated their main bass player because he's a drug addict and he had a relapse, and they got rid of him. And it was really sad for me because I really felt like that was an opportunity for the church to shine and to help this guy out, help him get back on his feet. And sure enough, he did. He's doing great. We're still friends. He's not using it right now. He's an electrician. He's being an electrician, making money. I just really felt like that was bad. That's just not what I want. It's not the way I want to be represented. I don't want to work for a church that doesn't follow what they say. I want a church that loves me for who I am, even when I'm at my worst. Because they get me when I'm at my best. I put it all in there. That's just who I am. Like if I believe in it, I'm going for it. Then I remember there was this one day where I knew that my time at that church was over. Man, it's just tough. It's tough. You really put in the time and effort for these people. I'm not going to not find the volume on these things. I would really hate the way Facebook
does the beginning of the study of magnetism.
Anyway, so I got my guys together that I spent a lot of time with in the church. And, man, I want to be a good Christian so bad. There's something about the zeitgeist of Christianity that really calls to me. I don't care what you think about God and Christ and all those kinds of things, but the moral set that's given in the gospel, not in the Old Testament, not even all the books of the New Testament, but the gospel. Jesus, John, Peter, Paul. there's just something about the morals that they preach that are they're undeniable. They are self-revealing. They go beyond the Ten Commandments, these like real obvious things. Don't murder, don't steal, don't be an idolater, don't be an adulterer, those kinds of things. They're just like, they're inherent. They're easy. That's an easy one. Like following those commands is easy. It's self-evident. But some of the stuff that Jesus teaches is not self-evident. And I don't care whether or not he really walked the earth. It's the story. It's the best story that's ever been told when it comes to ethics and morals. Applied morality. Those ethics. The stuff that you actually live by. Cast off your worldly belongings. I try to be a minimalist as much as I possibly can. I live in a double wide that I keep in very good repair. I have as much property as I need to raise my chickens, my dogs, my family. I do have a couple of tenants. I take care of them. I give them cheap rent. They're some of my best friends. I'd have more people on my property if I could, but the city won't let me. Don't get me into that one right now. We'll talk about that another time. So I want to live as close to Christ as I can, now, but I don't think that the modern interpretations of Christ are legit. I think they're weak. I think they're feeble. I think it teaches people to be evil through complacency, through false knowledge. I think that taking in false knowledge, whether it's intentional or not, and then teaching that is immoral. Particularly because I feel like it tends to find leadership that is sociopathic. It puts those sociopaths up. Manipulation ends up becoming your goal. Manipulate people to get to a higher place, rather than the exact opposite. Giving yourself, not manipulating, telling the truth is what should make people rise through ranks. And it's not what we have in society. It's not what we have in churches and Christianity. The more you can raise money for your church, the more people you can persuade to your church is what leads to leadership. I don't like that. I feel like that is immoral. We need to stop this. Look, I'm not here to tell you who you should be and what you should believe. I respect all others, and I even respect Christians. A lot of them, they want to be strong. They're looking for community. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for community. But I realized that worshiping the God, the Holy Trinity, it's a scam. It's a scam. They want you to worship some old false god named Yahweh, which is very likely some actual person or being that existed, not a creator, not a designer. There's no designer who's going to come down here and tell you, if you eat from this tree, I'm going to expel you. I'm going to torture you for the rest of existence, and that's what all of you humans need to believe. I'm so sick of feeling guilty for being a human. I'm so sick of feeling guilty for trying to achieve and being ambitious, and it's just Bring heaven to earth. That's what Jesus said. Bring heaven to earth. I really have this really weird belief that a lot of people, it's hard for Christians to wrap their minds around. You bring it up to them, and they'll call you evil. They'll tell you you're the Antichrist. And the second they do that, they missed everything that Jesus told them. Jesus said, you are saved. There is no becoming unsaved. You can't go make a deal with the devil and not be saved. That's not how it works. It's what you believe. You don't call him Christ, so you're going to hell? What about people who existed before Christ? What about people who existed in a completely different paradigm, and their prophets have different names, and if you don't call them Christ, you're gone? What about Christianity? I just can't do that anymore. I can't lie to myself. I can't lie to my community. I can't go to church and listen to this bullshit from a sociopath who thinks that he's doing the right thing. I had a few things happen to me as of late that I would call quite an experience. After I left the church, I was being really mean to my wife and really mean to my son. I had another baby, and I realized I was going to be mean to that baby too. And I don't know what happened. I don't really know how to explain it, but I had to come to terms with this. That this anger inside of me, this rage. It doesn't matter why I had it. Say liberals, say get fired because I'm a straight white dude. You know, all these things. But really, at the end of the day, it's me. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people do. I can only control myself. I can't control other people. You have to change the way you think. You can't just change the way you act. You have to feel it and believe it. You have to manifest your own destiny. Manifest destiny. There is no secret. The secret is the belief in yourself. Believing this will come true. And it will. And that first step for me was believing. There was no reason to be angry. There's an old yogi quote. Sometimes I don't always remember where these quotes come from. I do have a particularly good memory, and so I tend to not try to remember things verbatim, but remember them in their spirit. So please don't try to quote me on these kinds of things. I'm not saying this was my belief, but it's a belief my quote, but it's a belief that I hold now. Sometimes I refine them and regurgitate them after their refinement. And an old yogi said, it might have even been Krishna, that sometimes you need to be able to step back and observe without judging. And this is the truth. I'm not saying don't make judgments, don't inform your decisions. I'm saying step back. Withhold judgment. Look at it for what it is, rather than what it should be or how you feel about it. And some of the things that led me to this is, anytime someone cuts you off in traffic, they're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. But if you get upset, it ruins your day, not theirs. If I've done stupid crap, like someone breaks in front of them, getting out of my car, screaming at them. I punched a dude's car once. He was dumb enough to get out of his car and try to start a physical altercation when I was legitimately like, you just did some really dangerous crap. I got my kid in the car, you set off my fight or flight, and he's like, I'd whoop your ass. And I'm like, oh, what? So that gives you the right? But I just shouldn't have ever done it. I shouldn't have ever engaged. I should have started meditating right then and there. That's a hard realization. And I am sure that some of you are already closer to enlightenment, so maybe this stuff would be easier for you. But I've always been a little angry man. We all have our good and bad qualities, but anger has never been something I've had control over. I've been trying to find my zen the last couple of years. Don't yell at my kids. Ever. I thought there's always a better solution. And this realization really came actually after one of those car experiences, yelling at my kid all day, just being an absolute terror to people around me because of the world around me. Not ready to get into the really crazy shit yet, but let's just start off with some simple stuff. Being vulnerable. I had to be vulnerable. I had to realize that I was making the mistakes, not other people. I can't control them. I can't control their mistakes. I can only control mine. And so, you have to let yourself be vulnerable. You have to let your guard down. You have to let your worldview be ready to change. And you have to let it change. It's like LGBTQ didn't ruin my life. I let this stuff ruin my life. And you get closed in on it. Your mind focuses down in on it. And then, sure enough, you're manifesting your own destiny. That will start to be your world. People cutting you off all the time. Seeing Facebook posts that piss you off, watching movie reviews that piss you off. It's like, who cares about Star Wars? Let them sink. Let them fail. Stop listening to that echo chamber. Start focusing your mind on things that matter. Your family. Your community. Good things.